What free tool can help you block harmful websites on any device without slowing it down? Okay, wait. I get to block harmful websites. Yeah, I'm in. It doesn't slow my phone down, doesn't slow my computer down. Sounds good to me. Wait, free. Did you say free? What's the catch? I knew there had to be something.
Yeah, we're gonna keep that as a surprise though.
Okay, let's save that for a surprise. What bonus protection does the Warp service provide? Dude, where do you get some of these names, man?
Hey, I didn't make that one up. I didn't make that up. It's warp after like Star Trek warp. It's supposed to denote, speed, how fast it is. So,
Gotcha.
hey, at least it's not
Okay,
like some crazy acronym
that's true. That's
that you have
true.
to remember like four, WARP, some name or whatever, right? So,
I'll take it. What does it mean to rip pages out of your internet phone book? Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I heard this question and I was kind of pumped because it sounds fun. Tear that
just
out.
haven't grown up.
Nope, not at all. All right, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. I'm Nick and this is Super Simple Security Principles. Listen each week and learn how to protect yourself online no matter your skill level. This is episode 41, Website and Email Filtering, Part 2, Harmful Website Blocking for Everyone. Remember, that is a part 2. Wanted to emphasize that. As
Yeah.
always, joining us, our Master Guardian. Woo! Makane!
Thanks, Nick.
What's up,
Good to
buddy?
be here.
Yes, yes. Dude, I'm kind of pumped for this show. Like blocking harmful websites, like I'm always up for kicking the bad guy to the curb.
Well, and I reversed the order, if anybody was listening carefully in, the last episode, 40? Yeah, 40. We were planning on doing email next, but it turned out to be a little more technical, and 40 was a little more technical, so I decided to throw this one in, which I felt like was a little more approachable. So, anyway, if they get confused
If
on that,
if they listen to that episode well, they know that I prepared them.
that's true. For me to change things up, whenever my plans are, they always go awry. That's a fair point. I really just need to stop with do that, but just know there's more to come. That's all we really can say.
Right, right. There's more to come. And in case there isn't, Makani will always find that little bit extra. Trust me.
Exactly. Okay, so today we're going to, the listeners, you're going to learn a way to block harmful websites that's free, doesn't slow down your device, and requires no maintenance.
Dude, that sounds super good to me. You're making it sound even better. Like that was a better
Yeah,
sales pitch even yet.
yeah. Well, that's the idea because I mean there are a lot of options for website filtering, and they have different costs and benefits. And this is one of my favorites. And it's what the technical description is a DNS block list filter. That's why we
Okay.
talked about block lists last time.
Okay.
But I do want to share one limitation of the approach, which is that it's easy to circumvent if you are trying to, which is
Gotcha.
relevant for the parents primarily, right? Because as long as your kids aren't trying to get around your block, you can protect them from accidentally going on the harmful websites. But
Gotcha.
if, like some of my kids have, they're trying to get around it, then that's a different story.
Kids.
You know
They're
the ones
always
I
good.
mean. So, um, yeah, because I know that's a big interest. It's something I've gotten a lot from parents over the years is blocking them, and it can help until and unless they become unwilling participants. So
So this is a great way to basically make sure you don't stumble into a harmful website.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
I love it.
And of course, it's not perfect because we don't have the ability to automatically have every harmful website always categorized. Takes a little while to find them and stuff, but it's a good layer.
Ah, you were gonna steal my thunder again, man. You keep stealing my layer thunder. I was gonna say, dude, it's a way to layer up that
Yeah.
security.
Well, we're getting good at really emphasizing that principle because it's just so fundamental to what we teach is the layering. So
Yeah.
okay, so first let's just quickly go over we talked about those geek acronyms earlier. Well, we do have one. It's not warp, but it is DNS. Okay, and I
Yeah.
won't even bother telling you what it stands for because it doesn't really mean much. But the short description that you'll often encounter on the internet for it is the phone book of the internet.
Okay.
And that's because every time you go to visit a website, your device checks its phone book, so to speak, DNS, to look up the address.
Makes sense. That makes sense.
It's
It's looking
it's
up the
all done
website's address. That makes sense.
right, like the name, right, facebook.com or whatever, and we normally think of that as the address, and for the human perspective, that is the human address, right? But
Right.
that's not enough for your device to actually connect to that website. And obviously it happens very quickly, automatically. You don't have to even set up a phone book. But there's really actually a lot going on behind the scenes. So now, I know the phone book comparison makes sense to you because you're old like me. But in case any of our listeners are not, in the good old days, that's how we'd look up an address. We wanted to go someplace in the physical world. So I know my kids are like, phone book. I mean, they have kind of seen them, but they're certainly not part of their everyday life. But part of the reason why I like the metaphor is because with DNS, we have the power to choose the phone book, the DNS phone book that we use, or even customize it. And like we had in that initial question, we can rip out the pages, so to speak, that we don't like.
Love it.
And that's really kind of at the high level, the essence of the strategy that we're going to be talking about today is blocking the harmful websites, um, or even just, depending on your definition of harmful, but block whatever websites you want by essentially ripping the pages out of the phone book. So,
So you could I don't want to spoil it. Let's get
no,
into this.
you,
I was gonna say you could probably tailor this. You could rip out certain pages, right?
yeah.
And block those completely.
Yeah, there's a lot of power, and we're just going to talk about one particular option today. And the one downside of this specific option is it's not like crazy flexible. There are others that are out there that are a lot more flexible. Um,
Okay.
the the absolute strength of the one we're doing today is it is, at least so far that I've found so far, the absolute easiest to get set up.
Gotcha.
It has some good basic protection, not a ton of flexibility, but it's really easy. So I figured that was a good place to start. We can cover some other options down the road, and for if people want more flexibility or whatever, um, because it doesn't have all the categories either. Like it can't block social media or gambling or some things like that.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but okay. So the next question that I want to cover is not in we didn't have in this opening list, but is where does like we talked about the when you go on a device when you're looking up a website, it automatically looks up in the phone book. But where did that phone book come from? Like who chose which phone book is used, right? Because I said you can choose which phone book, right? But you never did,
Yeah.
right? You've never chosen,
Hmm.
right? And the answer is your usually at least your internet service provider.
Okay.
And depending on how you feel about them, then you might not be too happy about that fact that they're the one who chose your phone book, right?
Right. And
But
it makes sense though. They're providing the service. They're gonna essentially filter what you see. Is that correct?
yeah,
To an
well,
extent?
most of them by default don't filter anything.
Okay. Okay.
They'll watch what you're doing. They'll watch where you're going, right? So because they're using an unencrypted, so to speak, phone book, right? So
Yeah.
they can watch easily. But that's kind of a and that will be changing, but that's not really the focus today because yeah, anyway, that's a bigger question. But the main thing
Okay.
is that's where it comes from by default, but you can pick whichever one you want.
Oh, nice.
So then the next question is okay, well, which one do I recommend you use? And like I kind of alluded to earlier, there are multiple ones that like I trust and they're good. Um, but we're going to focus on one that's provided by a company called Cloudflare.
Okay.
Kind of geeky name, right? But
Cloudflare.
yeah, they have a lot of good services. And if you go visit their website, you'll see it looks kind of technical, but we'll have a link that just goes to this particular service. And the service is they offer a very reliable, mildly customizable, and free DNS phone book option that's really perfect for anyone who wants to block, just some basic unwanted content with very, very little hassle.
Nice.
And, you know, so now to answer the initial question about the catch, right?
Right.
That's one of the things I love most about Cloudflare is I feel like they are an expert in the freemium approach for services, which means they have an awesome free tier of service
Okay. Okay.
and then you pay for extra features. And that's
Gotcha.
how, and so, I mean, yes, I don't know, like to me, that's kind of the best way of having free without a catch, really. I
Yeah.
mean, does that make sense?
It makes sense. Absolutely. You
It's
get
one
a
of my
free service.
absolute
If you want to pay for the add-ons or the upgrades, you're going to have to do that, but
yeah.
this is the free service we're providing. Yeah, that makes sense.
And it's a worthwhile one, right? So you get exposure to the company and their service and how good it is and how they are. And they use it not only with this product, with a bunch of other ones. And it's probably my favorite economic model for, tech stuff. And they've done a really good job with it. So, okay. So the other thing, and I kind of mentioned this too, is they make it really easy to set it up. And the way they do that, that's different than not all, but most other ones that I've seen, is they actually have an app that you install and it basically does most of the work for you and also gives you a very nice status indicating did it run into any problems setting it up or if it's working.
Gotcha.
And
So they're
so
checking in on you, making sure it worked okay.
yeah, exactly. Which that's one of the big things. Like, there's some kind of, you know, technical steps with most of the others, and then you're like, okay, did it work? I've got to go visit a website to double check it. And
Right.
anyway, it's so their app though has another kind of funky name. Um, it's 1.1.1.1. There's that four ones.
It's got to be computer geeky. It's got to stand for some, huh?
Yeah, it's
Of
what's
course.
called an IP address.
Ah,
Okay. And so when you use DNS, you take, facebook.com or whatever,
yeah.
that gets translated. Part of the finding out how to get there is it gets translated to an address that looks like that. It's four numbers with dots in between.
Okay.
And yeah, anyway, I can explain more, but anyway, that's the basic idea. So, um, yeah. At least it's unique. It's pretty easy to search
Right?
for. So,
1.1.1.1.1.
uh,
Or did I add an
uh,
extra one in
it
there?
sounded like five ones. Yeah, there's four of them anyway. Four ones. It's available on all major platforms: Android, iPhone, Windows, Mac OS, and Linux.
Okay.
And when you install it, at least on mobile, I can't remember exactly what it looks like on desktop, but I've done it on all those. It'll ask for permission to install a VPN profile. Um, don't worry, that's expected and necessary because that's part of how it works and part of what it adds. So basically, you go download and install that. Once you launch it, there will be the home screen is kind of a simple status screen letting you know if it's functioning properly or if it had any issues. Or like on Mac for me, put a little icon in the top menu bar that you could click on to see that status as well. Any questions on any of that? Makes sense so far?
Makes sense. Like, of course, they're going to have their little part to be able to do their service. So,
Right. Yeah. Well, and I like
but
to address those, right?
it doesn't slow you down.
No, I mean, I've only been using it for a few weeks, so I can't say I've had years of experience with it, but it's kind of crazy because part of the design, most of the time you'd think VPN slow. Okay, that's what I'm going to hear if I hear VPN.
Right, right.
Um, but and it's kind of technical, and maybe I'll even do a whole episode on it. But part of the reason why they named um, uh, this piece, so there's in this app, there's actually two things that it provides. There's this, improved DNS phone book,
Right.
the 1.1.1, but there's also this VPN that they call Warp. Okay, and they're actually two distinct services. So technically, you can actually use just the DNS phone book without this VPN service if you end up having any issue with it. I don't foresee that, but
Okay.
and the reason why they called it Warp is because it actually is intended to speed things up, and it's a little bit technical why, but it's kind of like I guess a lot of people have heard like the Waze app these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
your app, it tries to find the most optimum route, right?
Right.
So it's kind of like that same idea as I understand it. This is still pretty new for me, but I was reading up on it, and it sounds like that's part of what they're trying to do is find the best route because there are multiple routes on the internet to get from point A to point B, and so it's part of it is trying to help find the right route. It's kind of that idea at least. Um,
Makes sense. Feel
but
like we're all familiar with that to a certain extent if we've ever flown anywhere.
yeah,
You know.
yes, right, yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got 4 layovers when it's like, one city away or, one state away kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, well, and part of what the Warp service does is um, it does have like I said, the light kind of what I consider a lightweight VPN. So it doesn't have all the features of a full regular VPN, um, but it does have a layer of encryption. And so if you remember back in episode 26, we talked about the need for a VPN on public Wi-Fi
Right.
for that, basically some encryption and privacy. And the nice thing that this was really like why I considered a bonus is because I really wasn't expecting this when I installed it and started playing with this a few weeks ago.
So wait, wait,
But
wait.
with
This is kind of pertinent to me
yeah,
because let's hash this out. Let's say that I'm using public Wi-Fi at work. I could
yeah,
use this to provide that VPN service if I wanted.
yeah,
Dude.
yeah, yeah, exactly, and just keep it on all the time,
Right.
and no downside as far as I can tell.
Yes. I'm liking this even more and more.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was so excited as I got through this. I'm like, yeah, we got to do this. So it's yeah, and so this warp thing, by the way, too. And I have not tried this yet, but this is where the freemium aspect comes in because you'll see in the app they will offer you a premium upgrade for warp called Warp Plus. And I just wanted to try out the regular Warp for a while, but at some point I will definitely be trying out the Warp Plus. But it's not pushy. Like, it's only there. You're only ever going to know about it when you're in the app. You'll see that
Okay.
offer, which, I mean, after you set it up, I don't know why you'd ever really open the app again, honestly, because you don't, it's not like you have to have the app running for the VPN to be active. It's just to facilitate the setup. So anyway.
Makes sense. It's one that we can turn on and leave on. I like it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, which is unusual, right? I mean, that was kind of what
Right.
ExpressVPN said, turn it on and leave it on all the time, but that's weird to me in that setting. But here it feels a lot more natural. And I've had it on my phone on for, like, a few weeks now, and no problems. So
Sweet.
yeah, so far so good. Okay, so this leads us now to our final step, which takes maybe 1 minute, like when you're doing it yourself, and that's actually turning on the actual content blocking, or in other words, choosing which pages to rip out of your phone book.
Gotcha. I like it.
And it just requires a single step. They have 3 settings, and it's kind of weird. Like, mostly the whole process is super simple, but then getting to the 3 choices you make, it's kind of a few layers deep. So I'm actually gonna write some instructions because it's slightly strange. I don't know why it's not, like, on the main screen, why it's not front and center. I'm a little confused, but anyway.
Okay, there you have it. There's a little disclaimer. If you want the step-by-step process, Makani's going to write it out for us.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. With probably some screenshots or whatever. It's not like super hard. It still only takes a minute, but just it's not totally obvious. You open up and everything else has been so simple. You're gonna be like, oh, it should be right here. No, no. So anyway, the 3 options are, and it defaults. And again, I'm confused about this, but it defaults to not blocking anything. And then you can block malware, which we've talked about.
Okay.
Which I don't know why anybody would ever not do that, frankly.
Right, that sounds pretty
Yeah.
reasonable.
And then the other one is block malware and adult content.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm not really personally a fan of the term adult content, but that's how it's labeled in the app. And that's the setting I'm using. And I'm not even sure exactly what, their definition of that, but I'm assuming it includes at least pornography. And so, anyway, once you've chosen the level, basically between those 2 options, then you're done.
Okay.
So, and I
Seems
think,
simple enough. The problem is we're going to have to write instructions to get there.
yeah, well, I mean, and I'm sure you could figure it out because, I mean, it's a small enough app and there's small enough settings that as long as, you don't get too frustrated just exploring a tiny bit the settings, then you'd be fine. You don't really need the instructions. I just, figure I'd throw it out there just because.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Little disclaimer.
Yeah. That's the main thing is I wanted to make sure it was clear because I felt like most of it was so well done that took me aback a little bit when I'm like, okay, well, is it filtering? How
Mm.
do I know if the filtering? Because, like, it showed me very clearly if it was on, but it didn't report any status about if it's filtering, right?
Gotcha.
And for me, that was the main purpose of it, right? Whereas they were
Right.
a little more oriented towards, like, the warp thing, or it just being enabled in general. Having, because part of what the improved phone book is having it encrypted so that, for example, your internet provider doesn't automatically just see all the websites that you're looking up.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Uh, and so anyway, that's all. So I think that answers all our questions. I think that covers everything. Unless
And
you
again,
have,
that's super handy when you're on a public Wi-Fi.
yep, yeah, exactly. That was kind of a
Super
bonus
handy, right?
bonus little feature that I hadn't anticipated. But yeah,
Dude, you totally exceeded my expectation with that one.
good.
I liked it.
Yep.
I liked it.
Yeah, we don't get to have
So,
bonuses too often, but yeah, go ahead.
no. So if we reach that point in time,
Yep.
dude, what's our call to action? Outside of run and pick this thing up and get it on our phones and our computers.
No, that's it. I mean, well, and really, I just want to emphasize, like, my estimate is, it'll take maybe 5 minutes. I
Okay?
mean, you know how long it takes to install an app on your phone,
Yep.
right? And then there's, you take that and another couple minutes to, find that and pick your blocking option. And I mean, it's such a quick step for, a couple great layers of protection. And yeah. The other thing I want to add, actually, here at the end, we've done it at the start and the beginning or before, but I decided it was the boring part. So it's just the little disclaimer, right? Our only association with Cloudflare is being a loyal customer. And the link that we're going to have there for installing the app is not an affiliate link. And, the only compensation we get for promoting their app is the satisfaction of knowing that we're helping you. You know, I'm just sharing it because I genuinely believe it's a tool that can make you safer. So,
Yeah, man. I totally busted the mic right there.
oh, nice. Well, good. We're almost. I mean, we're at
We're
our
almost
end.
there. So,
So,
hey, if that wasn't a big enough plug, let me make this plug for you. Run out and get this. Because, yeah, this is a super simple tool to layer up.
okay,
Okay, there you have it. That's our show. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, that's our super simple show today. If you're not a member of the IHP Academy already, please come join us for free. Stop searching the whole internet for answers and never knowing who to trust. Ask us instead. We made it super simple to find us, and it only takes 2 minutes to sign up. Just visit helpmegetsafe.com. Enter your name and your email. You're in. You can also find the link in our show notes. Thank you for joining us and make it a great day. Bye-bye.